All right, everybody, we're going to be learning how to take our FBox and turn it into a character that is controlled by the keyboard today. Um, in this project, as an example, we sort of have the Smash Bros. Cam programmed onto this, so that's not going to be part of this particular lesson. All we're going to be doing is getting it so that our character, like this red box here is my character, can move left and right when I press the left and right arrows, and when I jump, press up arrow, it jumps up into the air. And then another important thing is how do we make it so it doesn't jump in the air? Because the first stab at it we're going to do, the character could just fly like a Flappy Bird style game, and that's not really how platformers work at all. So that's fine. We will take a look at how to do that. So, I'm kind of doing this, backwards. I have it already done, so I'm going to just kind of delete it, and we'll take a look at how it works. So the first part is our standard keyboard input stuff that we've been doing since last year. So we just have a Boolean variable for each key that we're going to be using, and this will, you can use whatever keys you want to use. WASD or arrow keys are the common ones. And then I'll just scroll down to our key code and key stuff and the key pressed function and key released function. So just a quick reminder that the key pressed function basically just turns those Boolean variables to true, that turns them on, and the key released variables just turn those variables to false. And keep in mind that checking to see if you press a key that has a symbol attached to it, like a letter or a number or the space key, uses the key built-in variable, and that is just how you do it. And then if you're pressing things that don't have symbols attached to them, like the up and down and left and right, then you need to use key code. And you might wonder, well, what do I do? So if you are trying to add in shift key or F2 or whatever, then those are again examples of key code, because when you type those keys, they don't make a symbol. If you were in, say, a word processor and typed shift, nothing would get typed. But if they do type a symbol, then they just use key, and you can just check to see what symbol that was pressed. So once you have the key released, turning things off, and key pressed, turning these on, then you're ready to go for the rest of the project. So we already did this in the Capture the Flag game, so it's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to go and show you that stuff right now. This is just in the draw function right now, and here's my sort of left and right movement. It's not the jump yet, but it's just the left and right movement. So just under my, all the world.step, world.draw stuff, I have this. So Vx is a variable that's declared at the top. And when I press the left and right key, I just set it to negative 500, positive 500. It's not really important exactly what those numbers are, but they have to be fairly big for it to have an effect. And then we can only really use set velocity to change our character's position, with animation. And this is fine to set Vx, but if we were to calculate a Vy here, if we were to sort of set a number, then this would be unfortunate because we'd override the gravity of our project. Gravity is a force, and according to Newton, forces are accelerations. That famous second law, F net equals ma, is saying forces and accelerations are equivalent to each other. And accelerations are changes in velocity, right? So if we override the changes in velocity with our own velocity, then we override gravity and we get rid of gravity. So you can't do that. So the way that we've solved that problem is this. We just set the velocity in the y direction to whatever the velocity is in the y direction. I wish we could set velocity just for x only, but you can't. You have to use set velocity for both vx and vy. So we calculate vx, but then we just let whatever the existing vy is kind of shine through, and we just don't really change it at all when we're just moving left and right. So hopefully that makes sense about why we do that. We can't get around set velocity setting both things at the same time. We don't want to override velocity because then gravity gets lost. So then we just don't touch the y velocity. So that's sort of the left and right movement. And if that's all you had right here, Your character would walk left and right. They would fall off of a ledge and plummet, but there's no jumping yet. So that's sort of the beginning of the code. So the next thing is the jumping code. And I'm just going to edit it. You can take a peek at what the final form will be here. But I'm going to just get rid of this for a second. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But here is the basics of jumping right here. I'll just sort of move things around a bit so we can kind of focus on this line. Fortunately, I need to get a little bit further. Hey, it actually fit all on the screen. So this is the up key I'm using. So if I press the up key, I actually do the opposite of the line of code we just saw. I, again, use set velocity because we want to change the y velocity now. We want to like set it to some number. Negative 500 will make it go up. But when we jump, we don't want to override the x direction this time. So then we leave it untouched. We just set it to whatever it currently is. So we get it and then set it. So basically the effect is Vx isn't changed when we press the up key. But we do override the Vy at this point because we're jumping. And jumping is what we're supposed to be doing in platformer games, right? So that's good. And you know that's not the final answer. That's what we're going to do because I deleted some stuff. So I just want to show you sort of what this line of code does if you just leave it like that. Basically, every time we press the up key, we'll change our velocity in the y direction, and it'll fly up. So, we do get a nice jump here. I'll land on the platform. You get a jump. It jumps. Woo! But the failing is, watch this, I can jump in the air, which could make for an interesting game. I don't know what that game is. Some kind of Angry Birds platformer. I don't know. But like it kind of functions. But yeah, what if you just want to be able to jump only off the ground? How would you make that happen and not jump in the air? So the answer is basically, right now we just jump every time we press the up key. So we need to add in sort of we're touching the ground. But that's like what code is we're touching the ground. So I'll show you. The code to see if we're touching the ground looks like this. So there's this player1.getContext. What this function does is, right now the player is touching some FBoxes, the green ones. When I, collide into, when I jump in the air, I'm not touching any FBoxes at all. So this gets a list of the contacts that are happening to the player in this frame. And we save it as a list. It's an array list of fContact objects, and there'll be other things we can do with this. We can find out, what's touching us and all this kind of stuff. But for now, all I want to do is check to see if that list is greater than 0. If that list is greater than 0, then guess what? I'm touching something, right? If it's 0, if the size of this list, this function returns 0, right now it's 0. When I'm in the air, that list is size 0. When I'm on the ground, that list is at least 1. I'm touching at least 1 FBox, probably 2, right? I don't have the stroke turned on, but it's a good chance I'm touching more than 1. But it's in the air that I'm touching none, and that's when I want to not jump. So what you can do is you have your sort of up key, and the list of things I'm touching is greater than 0. If it's 0, shouldn't jump. So I got to make sure it's greater than 0 in order to jump. And then that code is the exact same as what we did before. We just override the y velocity, make it negative 500. So if I run this now, you'll see that I'm trying to jump right now. I can't. I can jump in the air. It's good. So that's fine. This is not perfect by any means. Like this is serviceable for now, and that's good. But you're gonna find out that it's gonna not be exactly how platformers like. Watch this. I can jump and I can hang off of walls because I'm setting my y velocity. If I'm touching something, I can keep climbing up walls, and oh look at that! I can hang from my head. That's not really how Mario works anyways. If this is a Spider-Man game, that might be a cool thing. So this is not a perfect system, and we can investigate in the future how to make it even better. As it is right now, it is serviceable, and that's all we're kind of going to do. for this first checkpoint. And we'll probably leave it like that, but I'll make it one of the features that you can implement for marks as the project sort of gets more and more under your control. All right, thanks for listening, and I hope it works for you. Ask me questions if it does not.